Hello and welcome to Team Leader Toolkit, Nuts and Bolts. It's Thursday again. Fantastic to have you here. We've got a great session on today. So, these videos are all for our new leaders on the Unlocking portal and anybody else out there that might be having some issues that will find this on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy this one. This one's great. It's all about, if your boss is invisible. So if you've got an invisible boss, it's going to have a huge impact and effect on you and your workplace. So number one, I want you to think about if you have got an invisible boss. And number two, I want you to think about, is this me? And I don't even realize. Okay, so we're going to go through a few things about that invisible boss because it has a huge impact on the working environment. Now, think about the invisible boss as that person who, only shows up to give demands or, to overlook special projects or something that's going on. Those bosses that you hardly ever see. You don't know what they're doing from one day to the next, all those sorts of things. And then what does it do? It has an impact on you as part of that team. So what it does is you feel overlooked, you feel ignored, you feel like you need to fight back. And the only way that you can fight back is, stay hidden from the corporate people or just doing enough just to get by or, grumbling about this and that, feeling disengaged, having concrete boots, not really wanting to come into work, talking to your co-workers about what a crap place it is to work, all those sorts of things. You really become disengaged. So if you're this invisible boss, this is the impact that you're having with your team. But if you have an invisible boss, then you know what? That's normal to have those sorts of reactions. It ends up making us feel like, well, why should we shine if no one's going to notice any of our achievements, or why should we exert ourselves in any sort of way just for nobody to take any notice, or, just keep your head down and do nothing more than what you're asked to do. No one thrives in that sort of environment. You're going to feel constrained. You're going to feel disengaged. You're also going to feel like you're not being challenged because you're just going in there to tick the box. And that's not what any of us want to go to work to do. So aloof bosses or bosses that are invisible are really, really costly to the business because they do disengage their teams. Okay, so why do these bosses become disengaged, or why do they become invisible? Why do they become aloof? Well, these are the stories that I've heard. I've heard bosses that are actually looking for another job. So they're disengaged with this one and they don't want to be here anymore. So all of a sudden you never see them. They're not there. They're either out at interviews or whatever, but they're doing it on the quiet because they don't want anyone to know. And that might go on for months and months. So, suddenly you've got this boss that you never see and you don't know why. They could have the second one, they could have perfectionistic styles. So, they're getting all these tasks and projects given to them and they're just staying in their office all the time, just working and, trying to get all these projects at 150%, and they're spinning their wheels and it's taking a lot longer than they thought and they don't have time for you guys. That could be another one. They could be somebody who's been promoted into that position and they don't really know what to do. So they've gone into avoidance mode straight away, bang, stuck their head in the sand. That's another reason why they might not be walking around on the floor or helping you. And also there might be a bit of miscommunication here because they might be thinking that they're doing you a favour by keeping out of your way and keeping aloof. So that's why it's so very, very important that in Module 1, you have those expectation chats with your manager. So they can say, hey, this is what I expect of you as one of my team leaders. And you can say to them, well, this is what I expect of you from my manager. Okay. And if that means, weekly catch-ups, monthly one-on-ones, be available via email or phone, whatever it may be, having that conversation up front makes a world of difference and will help those managers that think they're doing you a favor by laying off and keeping away, make them realize that you need more from them. Okay, you need a bit of guidance, you need a bit of support. All right, so what do you do? What do you do? You've got this boss that is aloof, that is hardly ever there, that's invisible. It's frustrating for you. You've got concrete boots. You're feeling disengaged. You don't feel like that you're getting any sort of recognition for any of the achievements you're doing. And it's really, really frustrating, absolutely. But there's these things that you can do if you've got an aloof boss. So have a chat to them first and go through those expectation chats. If that doesn't happen, there's some other things that you need to start doing. This could be an opportunity for you. This could be your opportunity to shine. Okay, so bear with me. So you've already gone, you've asked them, you've had a chat, you've even had that really courageous conversation about, you know, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. We really needed you for project XYZ, but you were nowhere around and I couldn't get you by the phone. This is what the impact that had. I just want to go back to my expectations chat when I said to you, I need to have a weekly catch up with you because there's things and dynamic changes happening all the time. Is that possible? Do you want me to schedule something in your calendar? You know, have that courageous conversation with them just in case they don't realize the impact that they're having. You never know. Make sure that this is not just your opinion. Is this an opinion held by other people as well? So if this manager has a couple of leaders like yourself, then, you know, are they all feeling the same or is it just you? Because if they're not all feeling the same, maybe the boss is not invisible. Maybe they're just waiting for you to be proactive in how often you want to speak to them. And the others have already done that. So just be careful that it's a shared sort of opinion with your other co-workers. The next thing I want you to do is start thinking yourself as a mini business. You are in charge of your area, your team, your equipment, your projects, all that sort of stuff. You are a mini business within the company. So you need to start thinking with that mindset. It's no good having concrete boots with your mini business because nothing will get done. And then the impact is, oh, you know, Tom's not a very good leader. All his team and they're all missing the KPIs. All the deadlines are going through. Nothing's happening. So you have to think of yourself as a mini business and start working with that mindset. You don't need a manager to do managerial things. So what I'm saying is if your manager's not going to the weekly sort of leadership meeting, you go. If your manager's not passing down information, you go seek the information. Okay, so it's up to you to be proactive in this. As much as you can, elicit the help of other managers. So if you've got projects XYZ and it's hit a barrier, it's hit a fork in the road and you don't know which way to go, and you've tried to contact, you've sent an email, you've tried to ring him, gone to his office and he's not there, catch another manager and say, hey, look, I've tried to see Joe. He's not around. We've got this fork in the road. I'd love to have your advice. Go and elicit help from other managers because believe you me, those managers will start to talk and it'll be noticed that Joe is not around and not helping his people. Believe you me. Use emails for updates and progress reports and all that so that you have got proof that you are giving that information. You're freely giving updates, you're freely giving information, all that sort of stuff to your boss. Whether he reads it or not, you know, you can't help that, but you have done it. So that if it comes and the S hits the fan and they say, oh yeah, but you know, Sally didn't tell me anything, you know, I didn't know what was going on. She never told. You can say, well, actually, I sent you weekly progress reports. They're in your email. I can dig them all up for you if you like. So you've got that backup, okay? So make sure you're doing that. Manage your own development as well. So build your networks, get a mentor outside the chain of command and get your skills developed as much as possible. So if you need to do spreadsheets, go and do an Excel course. If you need to, you know, find some sort of new skill, go and find out how you can gain that skill. And that might be getting the subject matter expert to come in so that you can shadow them or follow them or share with them that, you know, what you're trying to do and they can help you. So keep building your own professional development because that'll keep you engaged, keep you challenged because you're obviously not getting challenged from an invisible boss. So Protect yourself in writing by scheduling regular appointments with this boss, okay? So put in the calendar, whatever you use, whether it be Google Calendar or, you know, whatever it may be, schedule in. If you want a monthly one-on-one, you schedule them in. Schedule them in your calendar and invite him to come along and say, I'll be there at 10 a.m. the first Tuesday of every month. Bang, put it in, periodic sort of scheduling. If you need to have a particular meeting, you know, you need a weekly catch up, schedule that in your calendar and invite him along or her. So that will help you try and make them realize that you need more than what you're getting. Take on projects also from the boss's boss. So if you're in one of those, you know, weekly or monthly leadership meetings because your boss is not around, then something comes up, put your hand up, say, do you know what, our team can do that, we can do that. People will start to notice your proactivity and you know, the things that you're capable of and the capacity that you have. So just be aware of that. Stay engaged with your job, and that's a really tough one to do, especially when you're feeling disengaged because you're not getting any recognition from your chain of command. You're not getting any sort of rewards at all of all the hard work that you're doing, but it will come. Believe you me, it will come. So just keep engaged as much as you possibly can. It will get noticed higher up, believe you me. Just because your boss is disengaged from their own role, don't disengage from them. So still keep trying, because this might be a temporary thing. It might be, you know, they're trying to look for a job because they're not happy, but then all of a sudden they get revitalized and they're okay again and they'll come back to you. Or it could be that their tenure is very short and it gets realized that they're probably not in the right role for them and they'll get moved and someone else will come in. So that's okay. All of those circumstances, keep engaged with them as much as you possibly can. And the last but not least, don't take it personally. So don't give up. This is you we're talking about. So you don't want somebody's outside influence affecting how you are. You are professional. You are great at what you do. You are engaged and involved with what you do. You're interested in your team. So make sure you keep doing those things and don't let that influence cause you to be any different. Now, if you've got people that aren't really coming to you, if your team are disengaged, just make sure you're not that invisible boss, because it has a huge impact on your team. Make sure you catch up with them regularly. Make sure that once a day you walk the floor or try and catch up with many of your team members as possible. If your team members are remote, grab Skype, grab any of those sort of online type telecommunication devices that you can do, or platforms that you can do and use quite regularly, and making sure you're having that face-to-face catch-up as much as you possibly can. If you can't do that, telephone's the next best thing. But don't just rely on email and no face-to-face contact, because as human beings, we need that contact. All right, so I hope that helps. It's really, really difficult to have a boss that's invisible. Make sure that you don't let it impact you to the point where you become disengaged and have concrete boots, because then it's just going to look bad on you rather than, you know, you blaming the boss. So just make sure that you're doing those sorts of things. Make sure you keep engaged. You keep your team on point. You make sure you recognise and report and reward your team where necessary. Do all those things that you know that you're good at. Don't be influenced by this invisible boss that is having a huge impact. All right, I hope that helps. If you've got anything that you are having issues with, if you've got a concern, a worry, any sort of burning platforms that you don't know how to get over, just contact us here at ask@teamleadertoolkit.com. We'll get back to you via video, and hopefully we'll be able to solve that problem for you. Hope that helped today. Watch out for next week's session. It's a beauty. All right, until then, bye for now.